And we are back. Welcome back to the Copa America prediction series after another very successful day of predictions for me in Group A. I've got both Canada scores absolutely spot on so far. 2-0 against Argentina and then a 1-0 win for them last night over Peru. And we nearly went 2 for 2 with the Argentina game finishing 1-0 rather than the 2-0 that I predicted. So I can't be much happier with how I predicted last night's games to go in Group A. But today, we're here to talk about Group B once again, with that group sitting very, very finely poised after last week's action. So as always, before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you do enjoy all of my Copa America prediction videos, and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. We, of course, did our final Euro group game predictions earlier this morning, so if you missed those, make sure you check them out before the games kick off in an hour's time. And without any further ado, let's get into it. All the action in Matchday 2 in Group B in the Copa America coming at you right now. And the early game tonight sees Ecuador taking on Jamaica. Now, obviously, Ecuador lost their opening game to Venezuela after that Enner Valencia red card after the first 20 minutes. Went ahead and ended up obviously losing. Jamaica put out a staunch resistance against the Mexicans in their opener, but eventually submitted and gave in and ended up losing 1-0. So makes this fixture a really tough one to call, because Ecuador are obviously a very good side, but are going to be missing their star striker due to his suspension due to the red card. So I don't want to sit here and again say I think this is going to be 0-0. I'm going to throw this out there right now. Both matches in Group B today could finish 0-0. I genuinely mean that. Both matches in Group B could finish 0-0 today. I think there's a really good chance that something like that could happen. However, I don't think that's the way this one's going to go. I look at the two sides. I look at Ecuador. I look at Jamaica, certainly in this first game. And I think there is going to be a goal for Ecuador. I think, given the fact they still scored with 10 men against Venezuela, they're definitely a side capable of creating and scoring chances. The real question is, how are Jamaica going to approach it? Because obviously they tried to keep out Mexico and ended up losing in the end. And now, realistically, they're going to have to go for it at some point. Are they really going to sit back and try and get another 0-0 result and try and nick a goal against Ecuador and essentially rely on beating Venezuela, who are in theory the weakest side in this group, in the final game? I don't really see that happening. I think Jamaica are going to have to go for it at some point in this game, but at the same time I also think that's when Ecuador are probably going to strike. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to Ecuador. I'm not convinced by Jamaica going forward. I'm really not. And like I say, Ecuador very solid defensively themselves, hence my fear that this could be another 0-0 draw. But I'm going to go for 1-0 to Ecuador. Again, I see this being one of those games where it's either going to be 0-0, 1-0 either way, or a 1-1 draw. I'd be very surprised to see more than 2 or 3 goals in this one. But I'm going to go for 1-0 Ecuador. That's just the way I see that one going. And then the second game between Venezuela and Mexico, again, as we've already spoken about, Mexico huffed and they puffed and they blew the Jamaican house down in the end. Venezuela, obviously, once Enner Valencia got sent off, ended up conceding, but rallied, got themselves going, and against the 10 men of Ecuador were able to get the 2-1 result in the end. The question is, once again, how are they now going to approach this, knowing that if they even get a draw against Mexico, they get themselves a very, very good chance of getting through to the next round, knowing that they'll then have Jamaica in their final game. For me, again, I think that's how they'll approach it. They'll sit in, they'll approach it how they would have approached the Ecuador game until Valencia got sent off. I think they're going to sit in deep, try and hold Mexico out, try and do what Jamaica did in the opening fixture. But from there, I don't think it'll be enough. I think Mexico will get themselves a goal, and that should allow the games to open up a bit more. I expect the Mexico games to be the most open games in this group. I would expect Venezuela to then have their own chances. I'm going to go for 2-1. I very nearly went for 2-0. But I do have a feeling that Venezuela are going to get at least a goal from this game. But again, I can see this being a very cagey affair. I can see it being another 1-0 or 2-0 to Mexico. But I like to see a little bit more drama in my predictions. So I'm going to go for 2-1. But again, like I say, don't be surprised if this one ends with another Mexican clean sheet. And that is going to be it for today. That rounds off Group B. As I spoke about in my Euro prediction video earlier, no Euro prediction video for you tomorrow morning, as the Euros is taking a day off before the last 16. But best believe, this time tomorrow, we'll be doing Group C in the Copa America once again. So thank you very much for watching as always. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. And I'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching.